but looking at the Civ picker, I believe we can just go to viewers and it will be none of those Civs we mentioned. It's
Oh,
going to be
okay.
Japanese versus English.
What?
And GUA is playing English, Puppy Paw's on Japanese. I kind of get it. English, they don't have to worry about that food. They can, they can go with the king, be aggressive, or maybe try to change some stuff up. You're playing against Japan. They don't have great archers in feudal age. Maybe we see a change of pace here and we see the OG Council Hall feudal all in here from GUA. Just get aggressive with it.
I mean, I definitely expect the Council Hall. It's just, it's the Japan pick I don't get. You know, like, I, why Japan? Why do
Puppy
people?
wants, maybe he wants to get one of I don't know why actually. I was about to say get the water sieves out of the way, but I'm like this siev's great on water. I don't know.
Yeah.
Not that I
Well, so when we did the King of the Rockies qualifier, um, one of the most common things that we saw was Japan being played on this map, and I've never figured it out. And I remember casting with Wham and Puppy each, and both of them being like, "I have no idea. This makes no sense."
well, Puppy must have learned something, watched something, and said, "Hey, I like it." I will say, it's a short rush distance across the map. There's a lot of times where we'll see Japan with that just onslaught of units, the onus spam where they just gets to this huge mass you can't really deal with.
Okay. So I th
I
I
may
think I know.
not have had all the mods downloaded.
Oh no. Okay. I think I know what Puppy's gonna do, and if I'm right, we are in for a treat of a game. Okay? Because I remember when I was casting with Puppy during the qualifiers on this map with Japan, somebody went Dark Age. And I wish I remember who it was. Somebody went Dark Age Samurai Rush as Japan on this map, and I'm wondering if Puppy's gonna like.
How well does that work against English?
That's the part I don't know. That's the part I don't
That's
know.
my problem too. Have you left the game? Are you going to leave the game and
Yeah,
reinvite me?
I,
Because
le- I left the game, and so
okay,
I can
cool,
reinvite.
cool. Just making sure.
No, that is the concern as well. But I'm wondering if like he picked it planning that, but he wasn't expecting English. Because if I remember correctly, this was against. I think
I
this was
mean,
against Delhi.
my thought is that English does this better. Like,
Yeah.
like their men at arms are better. So do we see GUA just do the reverse and just say, if you're not going Dark Age Samurai, I'm going to force you to go Dark Age Samurai, and I'm going to go with the early men at arms. But I guess Puppy can always just react, drop an early tower, which Japan usually like to have anyways on their gold vein. So that's kind of maybe what I would expect. The gold spawn would obviously be key there because that's where the men at arms would go focus at the very start.
Yeah. Now I'm really wondering if this is just gonna be like some really weird Dark Age game, kind of as a similar to what we used to see on Four Lakes and Holy Island, 2 years ago or so.
Just a bunch of spears, a bunch of I remember casting so many games where it's like usually it's the hybrid map like Cauldron where you're fighting over the middle water and then you start dropping spears and then it's just like all of a sudden 15 versus 15 spears. That's not going to happen though with the early men at arms or early samurai. It's going to be much quicker. You're only usually making one or two to cause a reaction because then if you've made more than that, usually you're just wasting resources at that point.
Right. No, I completely agree. But we are in the game, and we will find out very shortly what our players have planned. So I am very, very curious what we will see.
And right off of the bat, we do see GUA dropping the early barracks. But first, let's get a nice old scan of the map. Let's just get a nice old reveal all, check and see the Rockies map that is set up and specialized for this tournament here. And then we'll check and see on the Men at Arms.
Yeah, we got. I absolutely love the work that Avery did, and this is honestly, I think this is one of the best biomes for it, the Gobi Desert biome. It really, these mountains just look so good in this, with like the little lake. And unfortunately, the players can never see this, but we as the viewers get a spectacular.
Yeah, it is very pretty looking. Got a little like oasis over the top. It's just, you know, I'm sure there's some villagers wishing they could get across the mountains, not get raided here, because now is where that men-at-arms. GiveUA's getting the good scouting already. He knows exactly where to send that men-at-arms because he is about to scout the north side of the base and knows that the gold has to be on the other side.
Yep. And he will. Well, he'll know exact. Oh, going right under the TC. He will see both the gold and the berries as well. So he will have full vision of exactly everything he needs to attack. So this men-at-arms is, you know, he's got his work cut out for him, but
great knowledge, great information that GiveUA has already been able to grab, but there's always an opportunity cost. This means the scouts cut off. 1puppypaw gonna have a great sheep secure, just kind of circling around the map, grabbing all the scraps. GiveUA obviously being English, it doesn't matter as much, but it still matters quite a bit. I think he's actually already having to maybe even move out to some of the wood line, making sure he doesn't go idle. And oh, he actually needs it anyways to drop that mining camp as well.
yeah, and the other thing is with the way the scouts have worked out, GiveUA is literally following in the wake of Puppy's scout. But the first men-at-arms shows up and it starts. It gets a few hits in on the villagers, and Puppy didn't see this coming. But
and look at how much gold Puppy ends up gathering to age up with.
Oh my gosh, exactly the perfect amount. That is beautiful.
He didn't overreact though. He just knew it. He said, "All right, I'll take a little bit of damage on each villager, pull back." He's now starting to age up, and this is where I actually see a lot of people just go 1 men-at-arms with this. There's not really a secondary resource a lot of times that they can focus down on certain maps, and this is definitely one of those. Usually you'll see people do this against ABBA, and they're like, oh, I'm going to deny when they move out to stone as well and delay that up a little bit. But in reality, it's just the gold being denied, and all he needed was 1 men-at-arms to have this effective. So GiveUA could have gotten a much quicker age up time.
Yeah, I think that going for the second men-at-arms might have been a little bit of an overcommitting by GiveUA, but I mean, the idea of the early men-at-arms, like, I'm always down for that kind of mix-up, trying to make the game a little bit more interesting. Ooh.
And speaking of
arms, like, if it sees this, if it saw this, which there's no way GiveUA sees this, right? He doesn't even know the stone is there.
I believe he would be able to see this with the early scouting. Oh, actually, no, just out of
his early scout doesn't see that stone at all. He has no idea that there's even a potential reason to go. Oh, that's so
there is with this map spawn. There's always your initial stone is I think on the bottom side or the top side, so he knows if he, you know, the bottom side not being there, he knows where their stone is. But it's also weird to, like I said, this is a lot of walking time. Puppy going out for the secondary stone early is very risky. If that, oh, look at GiveUA scout now. It did not continue the path though, and the forge just going to be healed back up. A couple hammer taps and easily able to out heal three torches on that forge.
Yeah, that's a little. By the way, GiveUA is going
and going for bull as well as a wolf there, being pesky and annoying. So villagers took a decent bit of damage there. Nothing too crazy. One of them getting a little bit low, but getting a lovely food resource for himself because he knows that 1puppypaw's a little bit on the back foot here. He knows that he's a little bit on the back foot as far as the sheep count goes. So this is a way to not have to move to berries, which you never want to do as English.
Well, and not only does it let him avoid going on to berries, you know, English does have a cheap farm transition, but if you don't have to farm transition for 2,000 food while you're going council hall and, you know, you want to be pumping wood, you know, a wood heavy unit, like, this is what you want.
Yeah, speaking of what you want, 1puppypaw is only 2 drop-offs away from that secondary town center, having enough stone for it. Drops a range, though, knows he needs to at least push these men-at-arms off the base, do something, deal with these. And I guess the range is his choice to do that. But that kind of plays right into GiveUA's hands here. He's going council hall, he's going longbows.
Yeah, and 1puppypaw wasn't going for a second TC, he was just going for daimyo.
Ah, that makes sense.
Yeah,
that does make sense.
He just went up to 305 and then, you know, called back good enough. Oh, and GiveUA scout sees the forge after it's evacuated. Oh no. That's
Not
feels
too
bad.
big of a deal, though. We saw a little bit of a short wall for Puppy, just making sure there's not an easy path to get in on top of that wood line. But with the way the wood line is, GUA can actually just park longbows on the front side of it, circle his scout around the backside, and just constantly fire over it and be pesky and annoying.
Oh yeah, this is well, and even if he doesn't go for the wood line, the gold is Puppy is rebuilding his forge. Like, this gold is going to be exposed again.
I'm actually shocked Puppy let the forge go down. We saw one villager was able to out-heal those units, but I guess figured that was too much of a sacrifice to give up. And it's not just the Yumi archers, it's the Yumi bannermen as well. So a little bit harder to deal with than just the Yumi archers.
I think adding the bannermen is the perfect answer here for PuppyPaw. You know, if you're gonna go for a Yumi Archer style of play, which I don't think is good in this situation, but like if that's what you're gonna do, doubling down with the Bannerman is definitely the right play. And you know, he did get that 300 stone, so he has the Daimyo. The Daimyo means he has the space for the to have a single Bannerman in his retinue. So
yep.
It makes sense, and it's coming together naturally, which is really surprising to see, considering on how off on the back foot he was just a few minutes ago.
Yeah, and then you can see just how fast those Yumis are able to mass up. They are so cheap. 30 food, 35 wood, comparative to 40 food, 50 wood on the other side for longbows. So that's why Puppy's numbers are just gonna skyrocket up. Super easy for him. He has that super consolidated eco, starting to get a few upgrades here and there. And then, and I was about to say, wouldn't be too surprised to see him start getting some of those military upgrades, more saved resources, not having to drop a blacksmith. This matters so much in the archer on archer war.
Yeah, I am a little surprised that he's going for sealed arrow over the upgrade, since
he's got the numbers though.
Yeah, I mean that's fair, and longbow longbowmen do hit hard, but if you're able to just run them down and one shot them, it's not really as big of a deal.
Yeah, so that's kind of the thought here. In GUA, the reason why he doesn't have the numbers, King's Palace is on the way. So going with the secondary TC himself with the Castle Age landmark, but very greedy. Council Hall is a little bit further out, so these units can sit on top of the Council Hall if they want, constantly fire them down. And looks like PuppyPaw might stall out his production himself, just start getting some damage done with the units he's made, and go up to Castle Age, try to get a pretty similar timing that also has some damage done behind it. You can see GUA already having to move off to the deer. He doesn't have any farms dropped. He has no farm transition. The Yumis are about to jump on the TC. Villagers are starting to fight. A few of the villagers got low, but none taken down. King's Palace finishes. GUA, massive breath of fresh air having that King's Palace finish without any damage done.
Yeah, I was shocked that no villagers went down there. Between the ones that were coming back from the deer and the boar, and the ones building the King's Palace itself, I figured at least down, but
he's got to start making a farm transition, so he's still going to be idling out on this military production. It's not like he's able to move out and get relics. It's not like he's really able to use this Castle Age other than starting to produce villagers extra out of the King's Palace. But he had already idled himself for about 25-30 seconds during those fights because of the lack of food. And so it's really one that, surprisingly, he's at a villager deficit here against Puppy, and so it'll take him a little bit to have this pay off, and Puppy will have a much quicker Castle Age tempo that he's about to drop.
Yeah, I completely agree. Are you expecting him to throw down a stables or the Shiro? Because he doesn't have one yet. Like, he only has the 2 ranges.
I wouldn't be too surprised to see a stables drop. He still has enough time for those villagers to do a drop off or 2 and have enough resources for one. But it's also one that I don't really think it matters too much just with the positioning point he's in. GUA's having to do the English thing already. He has to react like there is going to be a stables whether there's one or not. So he's walling up. He's making his base very consolidated, cornering himself off into the map like we know English loves to do.
Yeah, we are seeing a lot of turtle play here. I actually think that the stables is the wrong choice. I think putting the Euroshiro inside the archery range is better. Get veterancy quicker for your Yumis, and then just like start pumping them. They build so quick already. They'll be coming out in I think what 4 seconds a time, and you can just end up with a mass that will overwhelm Puppy if you are willing to mask an
And look at where Puppy has split off a couple of those Yumi archers, just sitting on each of the relics in the mid-map, just waiting, watching for GUA to try to move out and secure those, because again, that's typically the castle play, but GUA castles, and he's just starting to drop the farms. He's just starting to do the stabilization now, producing a few units here and there, a few crossbows, a few men-at-arms, having his food eco come a little bit online, but Puppy, where did...
It went into the stables next to the fold.
See, it still ends up being the stables. These players, just high elo players, love mobility, and mounted samurais, they're able to use the deflective armor so well, just constantly raid, constantly get damage where they shouldn't really do too much.
Oh, don't get me wrong. I think that the stables is objectively the correct play. I think that putting it in the archer range is the fun play. And at the end of the day, I am here for entertainment and to entertain our viewers. And I think seeing something fun is what our viewers want to see. Chat, do you agree with me?
And there we go, but the Yumi archers starting to chase down. They run past the scout. They start taking down some extra damage on those longbows right as GUA wanted to move out a little bit. Thought he could maybe take some map control. That's one of those when you're English, usually you can't. It has not been enough time. They're not up in Imperial Age yet. He hasn't had that second TC online for too long. He only has one full set of farms in play. Meanwhile, Puppy on the other side, he's had that storehouse working for a while, fully finished with the farms, and has it really just nice and booming eco. Should see relics just start to funnel in for him too.
Yeah, and he's going very aggressive with his relic gathering. He's grabbing the one in the middle, not this one in the corner that's very safe for him. Like he knows he can get that later. So this is looking rough, and like it was looking rough earlier, but this is looking even worse and worse. Especially like Nero running out anyway as well. The second year pack that's really far out, I don't think is going to be accessible for him because, as we've said, he doesn't have any sort of map control right now. He's going to have
He is starting to get some upgrades. He's starting to get those farms online right as the deer running out, so at least it won't be too much of a fallback point. Puppy, however, he's moving out to the map control. He's moving out to the set of berries, which is not a huge feels bad for the Japanese civilization. They got their own bonuses. They got their own extra gathering. Circling around to the south side relic. I think GUA wants to maybe try to deny it from Puppy, but this is about to be a 5 relic looking game. Puppy dropping a secondary TC of his own as well.
Oh yeah, and the secondary TC is placed beautifully here in berries as well. And I completely agree. I don't see a way where GUA gets a single relic in this game. Like he is relying on just getting chatted arms up and
I will say, those chatted arms, once you get that onslaught in Imperial Age, it feels great, especially when there's no walls. It makes it very difficult to kind of solidify that map control like we were talking about. But the few that have moved across the map have just easily been dealt with. Those mounted samurai act like those immense meat, just shred them on up with that high base damage.
Yeah, and I think another thing we hadn't mentioned is the Yumi archers attack very quickly, so even though they're only doing 1 damage a shot, they're hitting so often that like they can kill a solo man-at-arms fairly efficiently. And a lot of solo men-at-arms are trying to walk across the map to harass, and they're just not getting the opportunity to.
GUA has built that Viscount lead up to 13, but at this point, that's where it's about to flip on the other side with the Daimo upgrades, and again, there's a lot of extra passive resource generation for PuppyPaw. He has 3 relics already dropped in play. He's moving out to go secure the last 2 as well, so GUA is kind of getting put on a clock, even though as English, usually you don't really have a clock.
Yeah, it's... Ooh, no, and the golden GUA's base just ran out. He is gonna have to assert map control at this point in the game, like otherwise he's he's not gonna be able to scale his forces at all. Like moving into Imperial, getting any sort of attack.
He's been wanting to make crossbows, wanting to make men-at-arms. Those are both gold units, so we'll have to move out to that northern side gold or the one in the south. But look at where those mounted samurai are just kind of circling. GiveUA does have double walls set up. I think once he sees those units start to burn that wall, he might just move some villagers up to the north side.
Yeah, GiveUA is. Oh, he's actually setting up a fight here. Getting a wall in the secondary wall and just trying to go for it. I think. I admit, if he manages to catch out these samurai somehow and get wipe them out, I think he's going to be in a good position. But I don't think he's ever going to catch him.
I mean, numbers are starting to pump for GiveUA. Those English farms are paying off. You can see where the food income is sky high for GiveUA. He hasn't resecured gold though, and so I'm not sure what his next steps are now as far as the military goes. Is he going to move back out to gold? Is he trying to switch on to mainly a longbow army to kind of support this frontline mass that he has? Puppy though is pretty content with sacred site control, I think.
Yeah, I think that Puppy is very happy with the way this game is going. I really wish that the stone for GiveUA was not right outside his walls. Like, maybe if he could get a keep, you know?
Ooh.
Like, that would be...
This wall is very key for him to finish up. Puppy moved over to the gold we expected GiveUA to go on to. Mill gave him a little bit of vision of that. Reallocates the villagers now, I think, all the way to the south side gold. I think he's just making a massive switch. Going to get these walls up. He's going to go in the gold, go in the wood line down there that feels safer.
Oh my gosh, he is... I think he's pulling... He's pulling half of his economy. GiveUA pulled 38 villagers to build this wall. Like, yeah, that's how important it is to him. And the samurai are showing up.
Samurai are showing up. He has his military here. There's no gate, though. He just needs to delete the wall, let the military step up and fight this. PuppyPaw's just going to circle away, though. Not going to get any vill picks here, really. Walls will finish, and again, woodline and gold is here, so it does give GiveUA a lot of resource control, but Puppy immediately knows where to start focusing. He says, all right, I'm going to start rallying my units down to the southern side. He also might just start running through this front like he did a little bit earlier with a few mounted samurais, a few units here and there, but he's ready to attack. Siege coming out on the field, starting to get some siege works, greased axles, and going to be able to have that little bit extra movement speed on his siege.
Yeah, and... Oh, wow. Yeah, this is... I find it very interesting that he's going for greased axles before he even has a single siege. Like, does that seem a little weird to you? Oh,
I mean, it's going to take a while for that mangonel to move on across. He might have just had the resource balance to get the greased axles first. Just didn't quite have enough for the mangonel, even though it's just a little bit below there. But like we said, he just dives into the eco. All these farms now starting to be idled. He's also burning through that southern side. Villagers are going to have to run, going to have to head for the hills. So right as, like you said, 38 villagers, 51 villagers moved out that way. 51 villagers are now having to leave, so forget that eco bonus that GiveUA has, throw it right down the drain with the amount of idle time that's being caused.
Yeah, there's 2/3 of his economy is idle. And even though he's done a very good job of not losing a lot of vills this game, if your vills aren't doing anything, they're affected. Yeah.
And the other vills on the north side wall get spotted out. GiveUA's just starting to lose a few villagers here and there, trickle some deaths in. Meanwhile, PuppyPaw, his eco's going untouched. He's able to run around on all these other resources. Hasn't had to drop many more farms other than the free ones that he got. And it's just getting that free gold in. 6 minutes left for GiveUA that he is going to have to move out and secure one of these sites, or else it is all but over.
Yeah, I think one thing we haven't mentioned, there are 56 samurai out, by the way. Like, that's a lot of samurai.
That brought up real quick, and GiveUA has 42 minute arms, which sounds great, But you can't forget that those samurai can get a few extra upgrades. Their melee damage can go a little bit higher. Obviously, some armor chad men at arms are great, but Puppy has this unit count, is down, trying to do some more raiding yet again, splitting GUA's army, taking the fight in GUA's eco as well. And GUA's running around. He's turning around, not wanting to take this fight now, it seems.
Yeah, and I don't think he has a choice. His fight under the TC is gonna have to go. Mangonel comes out and it destroys the building, so at least that wasn't a whole lot. But the Mounted Samurai got on top of both workers. Like the few,
Mounted
few
Samurai
forces he
have
has.
broken through in the southern side. Again, we're needing that cow split screen. But villagers are falling, military's falling, not only in one spot, but two spots for GUA. Once those Mangonels arrive at that front line, he cannot take this fight, especially in the choke points. First Mangonel shot lands on that front line. Doesn't feel as good as on the longbows, but now two Mangonels arrive. GUA.
Oh my god! Oh no, I can't look. I can't look, chat. We need to go somewhere else. Or at least good news for GUA is the southern end is cleaned up, but like this main attack in the center of the base is just it's too much. The TC is gonna focus out. The TC is gonna focus out on anything else. But
split by GUA on that next Mangonel shot, was able to take down one of them, but has been losing vills all over. We can see he's at a 20 villager deficit and still doesn't have the military lead, even though the TCs are fine. Even though he has this defender's advantage, it is not enough. Too many samurai in the base of PuppyPaw, or I mean in the base of GUA by PuppyPaw.
yeah, and you know some of the reinforcements that were fighting Mounted Samurai are coming in, but like not nearly enough. Not enough to turn the battle here, especially with that Mangonel doing whatever it wants. It's attacking a TC, and that's fine. No, it's causing some distractions, and that's all it really has to do with this.
You can just see the stream of red coming across the map. There's another Mangonel trying to take down the front side. Outpost, GUA's base, it feels like has more red in it than it has purple now at this point.
Oh, it completely does. This is such a disaster, and GUA recognizes it. He says, you know what, that is good enough for me. I'm gonna call it, and that is match number 2 of the night, with PuppyPaw, unsurprisingly, becoming the king of the hill.
Yep, match number 2. PuppyPaw trying to claim the throne here in the NA. He's already made himself the challenger against Marine Lord, but also wants to go ahead and show the NA squad what's up as well.
Yeah, you know, he's I think it's fair to say he's staking his claim as reminding us, you know, who's on the top currently and staying there. But that was that was a great game. I really enjoyed that one as well. You know, the Dark Age Men at Arms that we joked about seeing and then actually got to see was definitely worth it for me.
Yeah, and I think it caused a pretty good reaction. It caused a little bit of a delay from Puppy. We saw how close he was actually to not being able. He had just enough resources to age up. So imagine if it had been a front gold. Puppy might have had to pull extra vills, quickly gather, take some more damage. So it's really good that it was a back gold, but still, GUA, good play. He was able to burn down the forge, got a lot of reaction down. It was well worth the investment he put in. It's just after that in feudal, Puppy was able to take some good trades, was able to kind of force GUA back and make it to where the castle age just couldn't even get close to paying off with the timing push.